If you've ever shopped for a mattress, you've probably heard the classic sales pitch that household dust is mostly made up of dead human skin. While it's true we shed around 8 pounds of skin a year, the idea that it makes up the bulk of our dust is a complete myth. Skin cells only account for a tiny fraction of what's actually settling on your bookshelves. Magnified to the microscopic level, dust reveals itself as a jagged, chemically reactive landscape of organic debris, suspended chemical droplets, and sharp mineral shards. And this invisible cocktail is an active threat. For over 20 million Americans, these suspended particles act as the primary trigger for severe allergies, asthma, and eczema flare-ups. To protect our respiratory and immune systems, we have to look past the old folklore and break down the anatomy of a dust bunny, ingredient by ingredient. The largest single ingredient in your household dust doesn't actually come from inside your home. Up to 60% of it blows in from the outdoors, tracking past closed doors and sealed windows right on the soles of our shoes. That outdoor soil acts as a highly efficient carrier for heavy metals. We are still tracking in lead particulates deposited from decades of automotive exhaust, left behind by cars that drove through our neighborhoods long before unleaded gas became the standard. We also carry in agricultural history. Studies consistently find legacy chemicals in living room dust, including dangerous, long-banned pesticides like DDT that settle into the soil and ride inside on our boots. This accumulation is especially hazardous to small children. They spend hours playing directly on the floor, putting their hands in their mouths, right in the densest breathing zone for these heavy metals and chemicals. Our homes essentially act as massive geological sponges, absorbing and permanently trapping the toxic industrial history of the outside world. Then we have the indoor contributions, a mix of pet dander, fabric fibers, dropped food crumbs, and yes, that small percentage of shed human skin. Together, this creates a biological buffet that supports its own apex predator. The house dust mite is a microscopic arachnid that thrives on our organic leftovers, grazing constantly through the fibers of our carpets and bedding. These mites do not drink water. They absorb ambient moisture directly from the air, which means they can populate wildly in any home where the relative humidity stays above 50%. When someone has a dust allergy, they aren't reacting to a bite. Their immune system is launching an inflammatory response to the proteins found in the mite's feces and their decaying discarded bodies. By simply living our daily lives, keeping our homes warm, and shedding our skin, we end up farming microscopic allergens in the exact spots where we sleep. But dust has a third, completely invisible layer, the continuous chemical reactions happening right on its surface. A major component of human skin oil is a highly unsaturated hydrocarbon called squalene. We shed this oil constantly, and it readily coats the airborne dust particles floating around our living rooms. When ozone, a common indoor pollutant, strikes the squalene layer on these dust particles, it triggers a rapid chemical reaction. The squalene actively breaks the ozone down, consuming it. But this process comes at a cost. Breaking down the ozone generates an entirely new set of volatile compounds, like carbonyls and dicarbonyls, releasing these irritating chemical byproducts straight back into the air. Dust functions as an active, floating chemical reactor that continuously alters and dictates the quality of the air you breathe. Dust acts as a detailed environmental ledger, recording the toxic history of the outdoor world and the biological debris of our indoor lives. And traditional cleaning methods often make things worse. Dry dusting or using a basic vacuum cleaner acts as an agitator, kicking all that settled chemistry and organic matter right back up into your breathing zone. The first intervention is cutting off the supply chain. Since 60% of dust comes from outside, simply taking off your shoes at the front door severs the primary transport mechanism for soil, heavy metals, and pesticides. Next, you starve the ecosystem. By running a dehumidifier to drop indoor moisture levels below 50% and washing your bedding weekly in hot water above 130 degrees, you eliminate the precise conditions dust mites need to survive. Finally, target what remains suspended in the air. A high-efficiency HEPA filter will physically capture the fine particulate matter and the lingering chemical byproducts before they can enter your airways. We will never completely eradicate dust from our homes. But when we understand exactly what it's made of, we can intervene, control our indoor ecosystems, and ensure we stop using our lungs as the final filter for the outside world.